All right. Hello, everybody. Currently, Simon and I were just talking. Simon had to go away for like a minute. So at the start, sorry, it's going to be me. Yeah, so basically, we spoke for about half an hour prior to this, just kind of catching up and stuff. And yeah, Simon said he had to go shortly before, so I will let you know when he's back. For now, I want to say...
Hi, yeah,
oh,
I'm back actually. Yeah.
brilliant. Hello. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've got Visky coming in here right away saying, remember to check our audio levels so that we can both be heard, which is a very good shout. Do you mind saying something?
Could you repeat like the last sentence? I had to mute the screen.
That was perfect. I just needed you to say something so I could tune audio levels a little bit.
Okay.
That worked perfectly. Well, I don't know. People, let me know in chat if that seems to be working well for you all. If that seems to be audible. Hoping.
If it's too loud, just say something.
Okay,
I
brilliant.
have something to dial right in my hand, so if something is too quiet.
Okay, so yeah, yeah. Let us know if there are issues with audio, and got questions, but I'll wait until someone can confirm audio's working before we get started. Because otherwise, inevitably, we will go through this entire thing, and we'll find out that at the end you couldn't hear Simon the entire time, and that would be awful. So.
Alright.
Brilliant. Thank you, Scurby. I don't know how that's pronounced. Okay.
Derby.
Yeah. Scurb. Okay. So.
The sound your car makes when you're speeding up.
Yeah,
a bit
it
too
is.
fast for your...
It is. Okay, so, for those who don't know, Simon's one of the community's longest standing developers, having worked on OpCrux's and its forerunners for, like, the past several years. Recently, well, I say recently, it was actually a few months ago now, he decided to stop working on OpCrux's, having worked really hard to carry an entire project more or less on his own for years, receiving none of the recognition other projects like DLU received and being blocked from joining DLU and using his deep knowledge of the game for the community. This is basically me trying to do something small to ensure that the work of one of the community's most dedicated developers gets remembered. He's also the person behind the complete and utter madness that was the OpCrux's Discord last night, for those of you who were there. Yeah, so, with that kind of formal stuff out of the way, as a bit of an introduction, hello, Simon.
Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. That was... Dang it, you actually beat me to the first question. I've got written down here. How are you doing? How's it going?
Let me guess, the next question is... what the hardest part of developing OpCrux's was?
No, it isn't actually.
Okay,
I was quite proud of myself. I went and reordered the questions so they made some sort of thematic sense. I was very proud of myself.
Okay.
So yeah, to begin asking questions at the beginning, this was possibly the most asked question. And it's nice that it kind of comes at the start. Break, Penny, Harcronium, Visky, multiple other people all asked variants on what was your original reason for becoming a dev, and how did you keep yourself going for all the years you were working on LU?
It also, I guess, somewhere in like, I think it was 2013, someone said like that there's something going on, that the game will come back throughout private servers. Someone then, I think 2014 or something like that, I checked out Looney, and that was basically it. Then someone later, I actually found out that there was a public server and was writing a patcher for it, before you start the game, you usually have a launcher, and I wrote a replacement for that in C# that used the assets, so it didn't contain the assets. It just was placed directly into the original folder. And then someone I was asking Egmo, who was the manager of LEGO Universe Reborn, if I could have a copy of the server to try if it runs on Linux. And then someone I was introduced to the development team.
Nice.
And yeah, then some time passed. It was wild time back then. There were like only LU Reborn, then Johnny's server, and DLU, in which you basically didn't know anything about for several years.
I remember being on the forums back then, being like on the Luni server forums. Well, okay, possibly not this time. I was a little bit later, but just hearing these rumors and maybe tracking down like a YouTube video or two. It was all so secretive.
Yeah, back then rumors were that DLU doesn't exist basically.
Yeah.
Because there was like an absolutely it was completely behind shut doors. You didn't have any info at all.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the same thing it ended up being with LCDRU, except there weren't even rumors of that until that dropped. That was quite funny.
I mean, LCDR universe wasn't even like talked about.
Yeah.
It was back then. He was basically the guy that was managing the dogs, even though he didn't. It was actually humanoid. From my perspective, I wasn't like involved completely since day one. Someone joined back in like 2015 or 2016. I think 2015.
Nice.
And then someone Igmo left. I got the server. Then Alan back then was also working on it. Alan Saud was the lead developer. And someone he left. Then he came back. Then he got the server. I got the server. It was a lot of reorganization. And then someone or domain lreborn.org like exceeded, and then we kind of had to decide on a new name, and then OpCrux's was born.
Okay.
We also had several rewrites. There were in total 3. From what I know, DLU is also currently on the 3rd rewrite.
Yeah.
There were some like rumors on another rewrite that was halted.
Yeah, I seem to remember something about Avery deciding he was going to rewrite it and then was like, nah, not worth it. Gonna take ages.
Oh, there's a related question from Scrooby on how I worked on both servers at the same time. It was like both projects were the same. It's just the name changed and all server icon changed, a whole rebranding. It basically, we first had LE Reborn, like the first iteration, that was basically Looney. Then we had a rewrite that was done by me and Alan Saud, and some others that have contributed a little bit but quickly vanished. And then somewhere we've decided to do another one. And it's not like that you stop working on one server and then only continue on the other one. There's a kind of transition phase, because if you start to write a new server, it takes time to even get into the world. So you have so that you can implement all those different things and even test about them. For example, if you do some research and on a feature you're doing, like the new server isn't ready yet to like test it out, so you hop back into the old server so you can like look what is the behavior that should be expected. And so it's not an abrupt switch, it's more of a transitioning.
Very nice. Yeah, I find I find it interesting the fact that, I don't know, I feel this is something that people sometimes less often realise in the community, but yeah, the fact that so much of this is so heavily research based, and that's the thing I think is so cool with all of this. And I mean, I know that's actually, this was one of the first things I remember when I became a mod in the LUCH. One of the first things I remember was going into the development channel and seeing you, I think it was, writing messages about, and this is the bit I want to, so I want to say it was like some packets related to Cannon Cove. And up until that point, I had not really realised that, wait a second, this isn't just like programming a game. This is, yeah, doing all of the stuff to work out how to program somebody else's game that somebody else has already half written. And it's...
Yes,
yeah.
without having the source.
Yeah, basically. Programming blind.
It's like how do you say, you have two chips communicate, you have two processors communicating, and you don't know what what both processors are doing. So you hook up a cable between both, so you can look on the communication, and then try to figure out what is actually happening. That was like the first part with understanding the packets before we got completely into reverse engineering the client.
Yeah.
So you basically had just a bunch of data that was not structured, so you kind of had to figure out if like the number is 2 bytes big or 4 bytes big, and how the whole structure of that data is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I know. So I like that analogy of the two processors, and literally all you've got is you can listen into that cable, and pretty much nothing else you can. They're not. It's not just like the server's a black box, but honestly, half the time, I mean, you started doing some really cool work on getting into the client and trying to understand how the client was working, like with all of your work on decomposition. But yeah, I mean, for ages, the client itself was such a black box. But actually, I mean, okay, I guess that's a question from me. Can you tell us a little bit about client decompilation and like Ghidra, stuff like that?
Yeah. Basically, the way I usually approach it, the first thing I'm always looking for is for some strings. Strings is data that is composed of text. So, for example, you have some text that you're looking for, and you can link that up to some functionality. And if you roughly know what this function is trying to do, you can like get some clues on what those functions are supposed to do. And then you maybe are able to name the function if you have enough clues, which isn't the case mostly on LEGO Universe. I've seen some other MMOs that were like a breeze to understand what the functions are. And then from now on, you try to build links between different functions and try to understand how this whole call, how those calls are all linked together.
Yeah.
And it's basically, yeah, you're starting out somewhere in a tree and try to understand the tree, but you only see branches.
Yeah. Yeah, again, a good analogy. I remember, and I think one thing that's kind of, yeah, that's really, really impressive about this is, like, how long was the Ghidra? Like, so for those who don't know, I keep saying Ghidra, that's a decompilation tool that can take executables and...
I thought it's called Ghidra.
Is it? Oh, great. But yeah, and can get them to, I think it's C, more or less. But yeah, like, how long was that file? Because that was huge. And it's really impressive, like, just the scale of the code, that if you do start doing what Simon tried to do...
Let alone disassembling without any like decompilation took around 2 hours to make some sense. Disassembling is, you have the exe like the game, and then you're by disassembling it, you're reversing the binary, like the machine code, to assembly, which is kinda the same. If you're knowing some facts, it's a text form of machine code, which also has some neat stuff like macros and variable names, stuff like that. It's like the closest thing you can get to machine code.
Yeah.
And from then on, and for disassembling, you also have to figure out, is this an actual, is this thing in the application, is that code or is it data? And let alone that takes quite amount of time. And in the end, you have something that is close to machine code, and then it goes into decompilation to C with the individual parts. And from then on, you kind of start to name stuff, because everything is unnamed. It's just like if you have a folder with corrupted images, and you only have some real random names, and you kind of trying to figure out what image is what exactly, and so you try to name stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, all right. So next question. So I guess we've covered a little bit about we've mentioned a little bit about like the server client communication. We mentioned a little bit about investigating the client, because like that's all those are the two parts that we actually have access to. And I mean, for years we just had the packets, and then people began to do what Simon was doing, which we've just been talking about, this decompilation, disassembly. But yeah, we've been through like two large different branches, but there's a question here from Melento Ghostflame, which was, what is the single hardest part you found, like out of everything you've done? This is just
like,
developing
in total,
OpCrux's.
in what area is it? General about like systems, or like everything included?
Everything, I think.
Yeah, the hardest part is to make some sense out of the client. A different thing I was working a long time ago was was actually racing.
Yeah. Which, for those who don't know, if anyone here has seen the racing videos that I or other people have been putting out, a lot of that was based off of the research that's done on DLU, but a large proportion of that was based off of research that was done by Simon.
I remember when I found out about this, I was like DMing Darwin, oh my god, I'm so hyped. It was when I think I can tell the story. It is about the concert area in Limbo Station. So I was trying to get music working on it, and I was basically clueless. I've looked through the client, found a lot of serialization code. Serialization code is a code that is used to build and read the individual packets that are sent through the network. So you basically have like one function that puts all this data into a single package that is sent over the network, and then you have another function that is opening the package and building up those information out of it. And I was basically clueless. I found some functions of it, some information, but I couldn't quite make a sense out of it, since there were a few unused ones. So then I was looking through packet captures, and not all were decrypted, and I basically had not much information. And then suddenly, I've realized that on one single packet there was one single one single packet, like not even an archive, but one single packet where this information is actually transmitted over the network. And
Wow.
from there on, that was a big eureka moment. And then I figured out that one component that was thought to be not sent over the network was actually being sent over the network. And then I reverse engineered the structure of it and was able to successfully recover the music on the area. And then I made the source publicly open to every dev, and it's now implemented into the LU.
Yeah, that's cool. And I guess it really goes to show like the amount it can just be something like as small as a single packet. So for those who don't know, packets are the way when Simon mentioned earlier about the two CPUs being connected, or the two processors being just connected by some wires. The packets are what's being sent back and forth, and there were a large number recorded by a user by the name of PW Jones before the game shut down, and they're what made a lot of this possible. Pretty much all of this.
They are like, if I have to guess, like 30 to 60 packets a second.
Yeah, that gives a good thing. And these were recorded by PW Jones for quite a long period of time, like before the game shut down, I think. Yeah, and so there are huge numbers of them. And so the fact that it would just be one packet, I'm amazed you even were able to find it, let alone from that packet extract everything. That's really cool. Okay, so next question came from Winbug, and it is, what's been your favourite and least favourite parts of development? I guess it kind of goes alongside hardest part, but
yeah. My favourite part is when stuff just works. It's a lot of trial and error to get a server that's running and especially stable. I remember when we were like trying to open up the OpCrux's server, like for just a little bit of not just one player phase, but like 3 to 4, just to make sure that networking in general runs and is stable. It like always crashed within a few seconds, and it was quite frustrating to fix everything. And the least favorite part is that it's so much. There are so many systems, so many little details you have to implement, so many scripts you have to implement, where some of them are like a couple of thousand lines long, and it's just so much that you can't handle alone. You need like a team of couple, like 10 people or something to get it even reliable. Or let's say if you're a development company, to get it like economically working, you need the people for that. It's just such a huge and large project.
Yeah, so I guess that's possibly the best answer for what the worst part is. Yeah, the scale of trying to reverse engineer a game that took the developers. Like this Lego Universe came out 2010, but was in development for so long before that, and trying to redo that largely on your own. Yeah.
Even ignoring that you have to reverse engineer it, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to, because there are so many like different systems going on. I mean, that's one thing I didn't begin to realize until recently. Some of the discussions I was having with Mick, and it's just the number of like completely different systems all going in to make the game. It's really impressive. Okay, so a question from Visky. He would like to know what. Well, okay. Yeah, okay. So this question kind of follows on from the most and least favourite parts of development.
German is good.
But, what about... yeah?
Never mind. Continue.
Okay, no worries. So aside from just the favourite and least favourite parts of development, just favourite and least favourite parts overall of, like, the the years you've spent here. Like, what were the, not just like most favourite things to implement, but maybe about running a server in general and about stuff like that?
Short question to this?
This is based off of Visky's question.
Okay. So, basically what my favorite... I couldn't keep track of the question, I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, just your favourite part, like not just of development, but of like working on servers and running servers. What your favourite part of all of that was?
My favorite part of that was like getting a lot of... I mean, it's like solving a puzzle, it's fun. It's also challenging, but it's fun. And overall, what I enjoyed the most is that it was my single project that I was able to continue a long time without getting demotivated on it. And that was like my favorite part of it.
That's
just like to be curious and being able to understand it, and also learn lots about reverse engineering and analysis and how have people done it and how can I do it better.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's a really nice thing, because like something that gets discussed in quite a lot of... There we are, I finally got... For people watching the stream, I finally got the question resized correctly there. Yeah, I guess that's something that's not necessarily talked about loads. I think it's beginning to be talked about more, but the notion of burnout, etc., and like the fact that this was something that you managed to not get burnt out for so long is pretty impressive. And like, yeah, I can
actually had some during the time, some were a couple of months long even. It was like, I think when it was at the phase where there were summer vacations and I was still at school, so I had 6 weeks of vacation. I had some sessions where I was like 40 hours a day working on the server.
Whoa!
And was really productive. That was the time I got like into the world. It was like where you passed the authentication server, got through the characters selection screen, and then implement a few components to being able to actually join into the world. And then after that there was yeah, kind of like, yeah, I'm now doing a chill out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember those periods where I'd be sitting kind of looking at all the like update logs from all the servers, and then suddenly you just implement like 100 things, and it's just like, oh, all right, I see Simon's got a holiday or something. It's all right. So yeah, next question came from Worthy Sleek Mustache, and these are just the kind of... I lumped these together onto LU questions, because they're just random questions about LU. But what is your favourite in-game achievement?
Oh, well, I haven't looked that much into the achievements. In the end, they are basically missions. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, no, that's... Yeah. That's fair enough. Okay, okay, yeah. So, this is long way off in the future, but what's a new feature? This is from Cruxy the Ottonapper, which is, what is a new feature you'd like to see get added into LU after a full release?
Yeah, I would say mounts. They were in-game if I remember correctly, they were actually in-game but unfinished. You were able to glitch out or to glitch through a lot of places. Like, for example, that way Jamester, I hope I get it right, Jamie.
Yeah.
Back then was able to get outside of the glass capsule on the moon base, and it was like back then during live when the game was still live, finding some people and standing through the door, believing that when we write LOL, that the door opens and we can get outside.
That's something that I love. I've mentioned this a few times recently on various streams now, but there's something I love about that kind of era of games in LU, around the time of LU, when it was just people hadn't learned to be skeptical about stuff like that, and we were all just like, yes, if I drill here, I will tip the iceberg in Club Penguin. If I say LOL, this door will open. This seems perfectly reasonable. Okay.
Because like, who puts a door in there if you can't get out?
Yeah. Okay, there's a question here from Bethan Holloway Strong, who asks a very general question here. What's your favourite Lego minifigure?
Favorite Lego minifigure?
Didn't capitalise Lego. You're going to be getting an email from TLG about that.
Yeah, my favorite Baustein-Klötzchen-Figur is tough question. I would say it's the guy that is always happy in a specific movie that was released once. Where everything is awesome.
Ah.
Kind of enjoyed the personality in the movie.
Yeah. That's fair. And I mean also the amazing invention of the what was it, the double-decker sofa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so another question.
Pending, but not from my side, obviously.
Okay, another question, again from Cruxy the Ottonapper, which is, what do you think of the specialities that were meant to be released for the 4 different factions, specifically Miner and Viking?
Yeah, didn't really have that much thought about it. Yeah, it's kind of a tough question to me, since like when you're working on the server, you usually don't really go into the like different, I would say, details about it.
Yeah.
Since you're only are caring about the details that are meant to be for the systems.
Yeah, rather than
so
the ones...
you don't look at individual minifigures. You look at what they actually do.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, any bit of... so you
if I remember correctly, I've seen some concept arts.
Yeah.
That were publicly released. I think all of them looked quite awesome.
Yeah, I think it's quite funny on top of this that, yeah, of course it'd be Venture League that would have 2 additional specialities planned for it, because, like, come on, Venture League needs it. So, okay, so question from Mustache Man 12, which is, it may come under, I feel a lot of these LU questions may come under something that honestly, stuff that, yeah, as a community of, like, people waiting for LU, we might have thought about a lot, but you might not because you're just focusing on getting the game done, which is entirely fair enough. But, yeah, question from MM12, which is, what's your favourite racetrack?
Vertigo Loop.
Vertigo. Correct answer. Good. This stream can continue. Any particular reason?
Not really.
Okay. Yeah,
I enjoyed all of them. I think the one in North Forest is kind of nice, since you have like animations like the pirate ship that is shooting. Which, yeah. And once you get on the map, like not with a car, but as a minifigure, that's the moment where you realize these maps are so huge. Like even like the racetrack is like, I don't know, 100 meters wide.
Oh yeah, of course. I hadn't even considered like the scale of that relative to your minifig, because you're just always in the car. Yeah, that's quite cool, actually. Yeah, I've seen some of the ones in the client as well, like some of the like test ones, and yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, they are very large. Like you don't notice it when playing it, but yeah, that's interesting.
Oh,
I,
by the way, back to the prior question for the minifigures.
mm-hmm.
If you're considering like on Lego Universe, I kind of feel like that question was meant to be for LEU and not general. In that case, probably the assembly, Doctor Overbuild.
Yeah, that's fair. You didn't go for the edgy choice of the Darkitect.
No, I can relate to it. In life, I was actually assembly
Yeah,
as my faction, and I kind of related to that to me,
yeah,
since I'm not like engineer on construction, but I'm like still an engineer, which in our language you actually have to have a degree to call yourself engineer.
interesting.
Like I'm still building and constructing software, and I was on a PC. I had a PC since I was like 3 years old, and
Wow.
was so interested into it that I someone started programming in like fourth grade. I'm kind of glad that I was introduced into that world so early, so that I can make my hobby to a job.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. It's cool you were introduced to it so early. I guess yeah, gives you some sense. I know. It almost gets you fluent in it from a young age. That's really interesting. Um, okay, very general question from Mad Wolf 236, which is what do you like about OU the most?
Honestly, the nostalgia. The game itself is like, if you see what they have done and like how they program stuff, you sometimes question yourself, was it worth it for the game? But in the end, I think the main factor honestly is just nostalgia.
Yeah, that is fair. No, nostalgia is to some extent what keeps this community going.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, uh, all right. So a question for our cranium. We've kind of moved off of LU questions onto specifically OpCrux. What made you start OpCrux? You touched on this a little bit earlier, but yeah,
Started or stopped?
what made you start Operation Crux? What was it that got you to begin?
Oh, okay, start.
moving
I,
up?
I couldn't understand if you're saying start or
No
stop.
worries. No
So
worries.
okay.
Yeah.
What made you start OpCrux?
What got you from where you are?
I haven't I didn't like, it was kind of a transition, like for example I didn't start Looney or Legiones Reborn, but then it's someone transitioned into OpCrux, and actually started like version 2 and version 3 out of kind of the same reason. The first for the second one was made because the base was Looney on the first one,
Yeah.
and so we wanted to transition out of that. So we completely written up a new source from the grounds up. The third one was started because our code was so bad. We had like 4 different classes for the player, let alone, and we weren't really happy on how we did like the game messages that are special types of packets that are meant to be structured in a different way, that are used in game by all of those different objects and NPCs. And yeah, then we started to write a new server.
Yeah. 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 So I guess as well it helps it, like, as you keep going along, you slowly build the knowledge, but as you build more and more knowledge about how he works, you realise that the server you currently have maybe isn't set up the best. But it's something you
Yeah, and
could
then
never
you
have known at
then
the
you
start.
then you fall back 2 years to re-implement what you've already implemented.
Yeah, that's got to be. Is that not a little bit soul destroying when you have to go back, like, for something
It
like that?
actually is. It actually is. It takes a long time, like even going into the world. If you're writing it with like 1 or 2 people, it kind of takes. If you're, it kind of takes on average about half a year, just to get to the point that you can start on actually implementing stuff for in-game.
Wow. Yeah, that's yeah, very impressive. That is also, yeah, a slight. I can see why it's kind of, there is the tendency to like not want to rewrite it, because yeah, a half a year is a huge down payment if you then might have to change it again further down the line. That's
Yeah, and as I said, that's also why you don't have an abrupt ending of a server and then you make another one. Is you spend about half a year just to get into the world.
yeah, that's yeah. Okay, so there's a question from Visky here, which was, what was the origin of the name OpCrux? What? How did that come about?
It was, yeah, we had a few we had a voting on a few different names. First we had suggestions, and then we took a few good ones and then let it decide. And then we also had another role if we are using Project Crux or Operation Crux. There was a little bit of discussion since like both have different meanings. Project is if you're continuous, and Operation is something that is planned and executed and then done.
Yep.
But Operation Crux made a little bit more sense since we're first of all, Crux is related to the world Crux Prime, so that's where the Crux comes from. And our server icon is actually a brick that is a meteor, which occur on Crux Prime. And for that, you have an operation to defeat, like the Maelstrom. I mean, yeah, technically it's going a bit longer.
It was intended as an operation.
It's like, yeah. So, and OpCrux is like the short for Operation Crux.
Yeah. Nice. I'd honestly forgot. I'd completely forgotten that time period of when there were the votes for the names. That was ages ago. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So our next question. This one's actually from me. You've been both in charge of servers and have been part of someone else's team at different times. What's it been like to kind of be in charge versus working with other people, stuff like that? How does it differ?
Yeah, when you're in, there's a few like areas. First of all, you're in charge of the server if you are not going to work on it. So like if you have a bad time or something like that, nobody else will work on a project if you're alone.
Yeah.
So like you have to constantly get yourself to work on it, otherwise nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's also you're hosting the website, so you have to obey the GDPR in Europe. And have to give out your credentials. So basically, someone can like say, "Hey, I don't like you. I will now visit you at home and throw some fireworks at you." And nobody can do anything against it when there's a mass of people. There's an example in Germany that I will not mention here, like I will not go into details, but he basically is a YouTuber, and he had a bad day. Someone like sent stupid stuff to his sister, and then he said that they instead should come to him and publicly released his address. And then there were over years many attacks on his house, and there's even a CS:GO. There's even in-game maps for it.
Jesus.
So like you're in charge of it. Also, if there's something wrong with your website, be prepared to have a lawyer.
Yeah.
So it's like on the legal side and on the progress side.
Yeah.
Also, you have to cover the cost of the server. I have a more expensive one, which I don't only use for OpCrux's. It's also my personal server, and the server itself doesn't really need that many resources. And it's mostly like even limited through network traffic, since every player has a limit of 100 kilobits, if I remember correctly, and you usually have 30 players in a full map, so you have like 300 kilobits per world, so you can so you can throw up a bunch of instances on like one server without a problem.
Okay, so this question was from a little bit later on, but it kind of fits with what you're talking about at the moment, which is this question from Vicey, which is, I don't know if it's a little bit specific, it might be a little bit technical to get into on this, but how do you get load times for Operation Crux to be so quick? He's apparently in awe of a video you posted a little while back demonstrating load times.
Oh. Well, I'd like to write optimized code, like fast code. And also, this server itself, it tries to cache a bunch of stuff. For example, there's a database that is in the client that is also used by the server, which is not like the full server database for the game itself, like without accounts, but like even there's some stuff missing that was used for the server in the client. Like database for accounts and minifigures and all those game saves are on a different database. But like there's a database in the game that is used for that contains all the informations that you need on how our objects constructed, what they do. The scripts are linked together there. All those items are defined in there. Missions are also all in there. So like it's one of those key elements you need for a server to be able to even replicate it.
Yeah.
And this is like that database is cached completely in memory and only uses pointers to point directly onto the memory, so you don't have to open a file stream and then go to that position and then go to that position. That all costs time for for example, for a hard drive or an SSD to get to the right position. And since everything is in RAM and it's only around 40 megabytes, and since the architecture of OpCrux's is laid out in a way that you can have multiple words open within one process, that this database in memory can be shared with different worlds, since it's only read only. And that's one of the key parts to get up to be so quickly. And also a different thing is I really like to optimize my code. Spend some time on debugging, looking where the most time is taken, and realizing strings are really, really slow. And text in general. That's also why I really like binary data instead of text data. because parsing text is just so slow. Yeah, and that's basically all you need to get fast load times. You just use a fast programming language, fast code, and fast systems.
Nice. It's a cool answer that it was. Yeah, they got to do with stuff of like linking. Yeah, but having multiple worlds in one place. That's cool. Yeah. It's a question. Is he a German guy? Are you in fact a German guy? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one. Next question comes from Worthy Steak Mustache. I mean, you kind of touched upon it when you mentioned that database CD clients that's shared between the client and the server. But Worthy Steak Mustache asks, how do developers decide the loot tables for things in LU emulators?
Oh, well, it's predefined. Difficult thing is to get the algorithm to make sure that the algorithm behind it is kind of the same. Avery did some great progress on it for the loot tables, and I was quite impressed on what how he was able to do it that well, and like it basically is. It doesn't really make sense on how Lego Universe implemented it to the full detail, but it isn't really accurate in OpCrux's since I haven't made like the necessary changes to make it accurate. It's basically you have to try to get it right. Just you have a bunch of tables, there are percentages in there that determine how likely it is to drop. And then you also have to consider the rarity, which is a separate part apparently. And yeah, it's nothing that can be achieved within like 1 or 2 days. You need to actually do a lot of research.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really, really nice example of why things can get really, really difficult, really confusing with LU server emulators. Because for this is the thing, like, all of the numbers, they're in the client, they are available. We know what the numbers are, we know all of that, but still, like, for ages, I think DLU is, like, the only... Actually, I don't even think live DLU currently has accurate loot tables. I think there was a discussion the other day, and they're still off. And so it's like, yeah, wow.
If I remember correctly, teams are still missing, like, for the teams.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother level of research and figuring out how it was achieved.
Yeah, and so it's just a great example of you can have all the numbers and still everything can be completely unclear.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you also need to make sure that you have a good random number generator and not just use C++ or C's rand function for that.
Okay, so the next question from Worthy Sleep Mustache, you've got a couple of technical ones here, which is, this is a little bit about the UGC server. So, why does the client crash if you don't disable UGC in your boots.cfg when trying to load a rocket thumbnail? This is a specific crash on OpCrux's, and for those who haven't tried to join the server, on the website where it gives you the instructions for how to join, yeah, this is one of the steps you have to do. And so it's a question.
This is a basic case of RTM, read the manual. I've already answered this. I've even like detailed it on why you should disable it. Basically, when you go, first we should like make clear what UGC is. UGC is the short. It's the acronym for user generated content. So basically, someone builds a rocket or a car or builds their own models on a property. That's basically user generated. Those are not made by the game developers. It was made by the players. So that's what user generated content is. And those content is stored on a separate server and is also containing thumbnails for the rockets and the cars. And if you don't have that server up and running, and your game tries to load a thumbnail for that rocket that you just built from the server, and it can't communicate to the server because it's offline or unavailable, the game will just crash.
Nice.
It even
Well, not nice, but
took a few hours for me to figure out why it's actually crashing. But yeah, it's just the client, your game is trying to get a thumbnail from a non-existent server and is crashing. It just gives up.
yeah, it's interesting because that was something I remember not even realizing servers didn't have. Because, like, yeah, no server has, like, those rocket things correctly rendered. But, yeah, I think myself and a lot of other people hadn't realized that.
I've written some tools for that and was actually working on a UGC server that tried to most accurately generate thumbnails for that, as well as optimizing meshes and the stuff you do in the property, and it's quite unfinished, and I can't talk much about it due to legal reasons.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also think this is a good time to point out that the OpCrux's source, not 100% about the UGC server stuff, but the OpCrux's source in general is public. It is open source. You can all go and take a look at it. If you found that what Simon is saying today isn't soul destroying, then yeah, feel free to turn up and take a look. Yeah. So the next question by Alento Ghostflame. Actually, no. Let's go to chat. Let's go to player who asks the question. Oh, sorry, player 1, which is, do you think LU Machinima could be possible? I don't know what this is. Do you know what Machinima is?
I remember there was a channel called Machinima, which made animations for different games, including Minecraft. I'm not completely sure if he means that.
Oh.
Maybe, like, if he could elaborate a bit more on that.
Okay,
that would be quite helpful.
I've just quickly Wikipedia'd it, which is apparently, yeah, it is. Machinima is the use, according to Wikipedia, it's the use of real-time computer graphics engines to create a cinematic production. So, generating cinematic-style content from a video game, basically.
To be honest, it's completely, it's completely possible. To be honest, you of course you need some like client modding, but it's completely possible. But make sure that you don't do it on sort of like on live servers, like not live servers, but like public servers. Otherwise, you probably get banned.
Yeah.
If you do it locally, I don't think anyone really minds.
Yeah, and there's there's some cool programs I've seen out there for like 3D screen captures almost. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the question from Alento Ghostflame I was going to go to, which is, what's your favourite programming language?
Ooh, it really depends on the case. For websites, I mostly use PHP. I know there's like JavaScript engines, like for example React, JS, and Vue. I tried them a couple of times. Makes the saying stares intensely. Couldn't. It's like I've tried to build a site for OpCrux's in Vue.js, and I honestly tried. But if you're working 40 hours on it already, and you're still looking at a blank page, you maybe should consider working with something that you like can get used to working.
Yeah.
And for websites, I mostly use PHP just because I know how to use it. There's like no real reason otherwise. For general stuff, I really like to use C++. For like applications, I choose the .NET framework, and for like games, I mostly use Unity. So there I use C# again. For website frontend, I mostly use JavaScript. I know there's TypeScript, but you need a preprocessor for that first. And if you're just writing something quick, you just throw up JavaScript or do something.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so this is a little bit more with regards OpCrux's source, and I guess it could go back to LUR, but I guess this is the reason you would have moved on from the LUR servers, which is are there any programming decisions regarding OpCrux that you regret but didn't get a chance to redo before shutting it down?
There are a few. First part is scripting. I initially we were in version 2. I was actually re-implementing the whole Lua system that Legionnaires had implemented. Then someone we decided maybe let's just do it in C++. But yeah, Lua is like different type of language where you have different concepts that you can really one-to-one implement in C++. So I was going through a few options and checking out some scripting language to not directly use the Lua scripts, but also have the comfort of having a language that is not statically typed, since the way the scripts are written, it's just easier to have a non-statically typed language, so you can be a bit more flexible. Another thing is the game messages system we implemented. I'm kinda happy with it, but there's a lot of room for improvement that is not that well written right now. It has a good base, but it's not nice to the fullest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there. I guess the converse question is now. This is just coming from me now, but what's the, what is there? Is there a system? You mentioned the base of the game messages system. Is there a particular system that you like particularly like? That you're particularly proud of? You think you implemented it really neatly?
I think I'm kind of proud of, I'm kind of proud of the game message system.
Nice.
I know that DLU is doing it completely differently, and I have the opinion that I kind of did it better. Basically, I used classes for every game message. Every game message is own class. So you can say okay, I make a new message called, for example, teleport, and then I can say my teleport message dot position is there, and my parameters are something like that. And then I just send it instead of having to call a function that takes in 30 or 40 different parameters just to do that job. So in the end, in my opinion, it's just a bit cleaner approach. It takes more time to implement, that's true, but in the long run, I think it's kind of I'd rather do that instead of calling functions with that many parameters.
That's very fair.
Which we actually did in version 2. Which was one reason to start over.
Fair enough.
Also, I'm really proud of the concert area music thing.
Yeah.
On how I've structured and written the class, and just how clean it looks. Yeah, it
Oh,
doesn't
that's
look
nice.
that clean, but in comparison, it's one of the better files.
Yeah, and I guess it's not solely a question of how clean it is just in isolation, but how clean it is given what you're working with. Like, given the. Yeah. Compared to having, like, nothing and having this being a completely unexplored thing which people were misunderstanding. Like, yeah, that's really cool.
Uncredited just asked, why did you use many macros? That's a thing that is pretty common in this industry. It just is. If you look at a few large libraries, it is really common to use macros. Also, because I don't want to write like 300 letters of code for something I can do with like 30. For example, when hooking up game messages to an object. And Creature says no.
Yeah, I'm seeing some very happy Encree noises. Okay, so next question is, so what lessons, programming or otherwise, are you taking away from your time as a part of the LU community?
Well, first thing is, it is really good in like job applications to be listed, and also I've gained a bunch of like general knowledge. I mean, like just going through the process of making a server and having to think all about those systems to be clean and extensible for a long period of time. And also the reverse engineering part that initially brought me down to low-level engineering, to like what I do as part of a job, as a full-time job. It's just, yeah, it's a journey, and the journey is the target.
Yes, that's interesting. So I was wondering about this actually, as you were saying, yeah, coming down to the low-level stuff, and you kind of finished by saying, yeah, this is now what you're doing. But I was wondering, because we were talking earlier about your work on firmware. So, like, would you say that, like, stuff you did with LU actually really helped with that, or kind of led you into that to some extent then?
Yes, I would say it led me into like the low-level area, which was also quite intention. I've always like appreciated people that are reverse engineering because they need to know a lot of stuff, and also be quite knowledgeable about the whole architecture itself. Even like for times before Gitra, where you only look at the raw assembly. Yes, assembly is simple, but it's not the simplicity of the language. It's the complexity of the system.
Yeah.
That you have to look at. For example, in a high-level language, you can, you have a function and you're calling that, but when you look down on what the compiler actually produces in the end, it isn't really. Yeah, it's just bizarre what compilers are able to optimize.
Yeah.
Or for example, if you have a class, it's not really that much of a. Imagine trying to use classes in C.
Yeah. Instant pain.
Without structs.
Yeah. Okay, welcome, Worthy Sleep Mustache. Good to see you here. Okay, so yeah, next question is: given you don't have to be spending all your time doing LU anymore. What sort of things have you been doing now that you're free?
Actually, yeah, I have a couple of projects. I'm a developer at Foxdoc. We're a German, not really only German anymore. We're now international development team, where we're creating a we're creating a post-apocalyptic game in Unity. Yeah, I can't really talk much about like the genre, considering the
Yeah.
like that we're trying to be child friendly.
Yeah, fair enough. Very cool.
And also I'm working on not just a system, but for my birthday party I basically want to have a screen, a larger screen. I don't really want to use a beamer, because if you have a fog machine that really is like intercepting the light that you so you basically come to a conclusion you want an LED wall, and then you also want to control all those lights, but but like how you usually control all those lights, a console costs like over 100 grand. You don't have that money for that. And there are software options for that, and those are not really great and user-friendly, and I was quite in a rage after that, after trying out it. And you also can use the DJ stuff like on Serato, on my experience on Windows, where the video add-on, you have one frame every 30 seconds. It's just not viable. You kind of get a bit sad in the whole kind of environment, and now I'm kind of doing it myself. With first of all, I'm ordering like panels from cheap places from China. Put on my board that is running the LCD screen, where I have learned so much about it. And then you also have to send video to them.
Yeah.
So you need a different system, and you don't really want to have a software on that. You might just want to plug in an HDMI cable or something like that. So you have to write hardware for that, and then it needs to be speedy so it can achieve all of this. And then for programming those lights and sync it up with the video and music and all those algorithms you have to do to not be for every second you spend half an hour trying to program it.
Yeah.
Because it's just not viable. I'm kind of doing myself a whole suite of hardware and tools and everything.
It's a very cool project. Just because you couldn't buy the screen, so you decided you on your own would write 100 grand's worth of software and hardware and make yourself one. That's cool.
No, the console itself, it's hardware. It's complete hardware.
It's hardware.
But it just costs 100 grand.
Yeah.
Over 100 grand.
Yeah, wow.
Also, the screen panels for half a meter to half a meter, you usually pay around 400 to 600 bucks, which is quite much.
Yeah.
And I can do the same for maximum 200.
Not bad. Yeah, half price. Not we'll take it.
Even lower, 1/3.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so yeah, we were kind of there getting away from LU, but there were a couple. The next two questions, kind of about your future plans, did come back to LU, and there are questions from Blix the Dragon and Fell asking, will you ever play on DLU?
I actually did. Even before they tried to clean up, actually I even have a key, I just not playing that much.
Nice. Okay, yeah, so yeah, that's your answer.
I mean, if you want, we could even both hop into the DLU right now.
Yeah, we could. I could get it up, in fairness. I think let's Honestly, what we could do, we could at the end of this go and hop in if you like. Once because we're. I was going to say we're getting to the end of okay, we're getting to the end of the serious questions. There's been a whole slew of meme questions at the end that people sent, but we'll get on to those when we do. Eden FPS, who also checked in on us earlier, hoping we were both doing well. I know I am. I hope this hasn't killed off Simon's happiness for today, having to spend the time on this. Eden FPS asks, will you ever try and join another game revival project, such as Free Realm Sunrise? Or, there was an FR:/S, I looked it up, I'm assuming it's Free Realm Sunrise, or a future LU server. I'm guessing no on a future LU server, but have you considered any other revival projects for different games?
Yeah, I had some interests and some small work on a different game, which is currently still active, so I kinda don't want to really say which one.
Fair enough.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But in the end, I do it just personally. I won't share anything publicly for you, Loris. It's just I'm keeping it low.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, so the first of these. So this is kind of the. I guess these are the kind of what standard ask, because this was, we originally advertised this as an Ask Me Anything. And so the question, and so these are, I guess, the standard Ask Me Anything questions. And these are the ones that are slightly less related to technical stuff or to LU. So firstly, do you want to Ask Me Anything questions about your personal life? This came after tons of people had spammed questions about his personal life.
Sure.
All right. Okay. So first off, from most of these questions come from one user who is very interested in Simon. I'm slightly concerned. They come from BVF, who asks, "Do you have any children?"
Nope.
Number two, do you
Not
know
at
any?
the moment.
Do you know any good jokes? Not putting you on the spot at all.
I know a few that, but I always forget them.
And
I have
probably
one
none that can be
in
said
German,
here.
so hold your
German speakers, prepare for something that's utterly hilarious.
Füße hoch, der Witz kommt flach. So, pull your legs up. The joke is coming flat. Like jump up, because the joke is coming flat, so it doesn't hit you. Yeah, it's always worse if you explain it.
and well, not only the explanation, but having to translate it into a different language doesn't really help. I'm honestly impressed you did that on the fly.
You have to stand into the snake. People have to stand in the snake to understand it.
Okay. The next question is: if you had any job in the world, what would it be?
Well, game dev. Or
well, that's lucky, isn't it?
or even better, passive income developer, which basically means you've written something that is running by itself,
and you just rake it in for the rest of your life.
Income without doing anything.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because then you have time to. Then you have all the time you need to. We don't have all the time you need to work on your projects because you have so many projects that.
Yeah, that's true.
Fill up 4 people's lives.
Yeah. I wonder if that is a thing that that will always happen. Like, the more free time that you have, the less free time you have. The more you should have, the more you just fill it up with stuff. Okay, the next one. what stocks are you invested in? You heard my voice break there because I'm just laughing at this stage. These are, yeah.
Actually, none. I once tried to buy something with Bitcoin, since they don't accept Giro cards, which is quite unfortunate because I don't have a credit card at all. I just have Giro cards. Someone should go to the bank and get like a prepaid credit card just that I'm able to pay stuff that are not located in USA. That are located in USA.
Yeah.
Which is quite a bummer if you like have a Giro card. I have a card, but it's not a credit card.
Yeah.
But then you have to put in your whole details, your address. You have to upload a picture of yourself and your ID and all the stuff, just to then realize that you need to buy at least $500 of Bitcoin so that you can pay stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's
yeah.
So no, I currently are completely off of trading.
That is very fair. Yeah, I know a couple of my friends decided they were going to look into stocks, and I was like, yeah, you go do that. I am terrified. That is more complicated. That is more complicated and scarier than I'm going to get into. Okay, so yeah, the next one, and this was where the questions began to really devolve. But the same guy asks, "Do you have a crush on anyone?" Blushing emoji. It really, really devolved.
Honestly, not right now. Can focus on, yeah, doing my life.
Sorry, BVP. Sorry.
Also, like,
unlucky.
Like if you, the other thing is like, you can like just say I like that person unless like you share some interest, because otherwise actually might be odd all the time, but you like not into, like, for example, she likes to wander a lot and go up 2 hills, and you're more of that, yeah, maybe stay indoors type of person.
Yeah.
Or like to have some shared interest, because otherwise it's like, yeah, you won't see each other for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, that's just genuinely good life advice, chat. Make sure you're compatible.
I'm trying to be happy with my life. I'm not that kind of person that really needs to be in a relationship all the time, otherwise he's just going to die.
Yeah, I feel that's honestly kind of the best way of going about it. It's the way you're going to most appreciate it, if and when it happens, rather than just relying on it. Okay, so off the slightly weird questions now, but I mean, this was an AMA. Back to Vicey, who asks you about the username CoolGameTube, and if there's any particular history behind it. It's more specifically, the bit of the message I haven't written up is there some deep philosophical meaning to the name that my simple monkey brain just can't comprehend? Those are Vicey's words.
We all have been young and chosen stupid names.
You're talking to a guy called the Ninja of LU. I can relate.
Yeah, I was pretty young and I thought it was cool to like have a YouTube channel that is showing off games, so like GameTube, but it's only cool games, and yeah, that's basically it. So it's a dumb name. I try to avoid being related to it anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, you saw nothing, everyone. There's a question from Aaron. A very, very important question, I feel, which was, ist mein Deutsch gut? I think that was what Aaron
very
asked. There we are, Aaron. Your Deutsch ist indeed very gut. Sorry, that was bad. Ninja Bomb asks, did you ever play games like Wizard 101 or Club Penguin?
I think sometime last year I kind of hopped back into Whistle 101. It was actually after the LU shutdown. I was a lot on Panfu, but not for long, and then I kind of dove into Whistle 101, and that was also one of my childhood games.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, out of nostalgia, I like last year got back into the game, and I'm like not that far. I'm like level. I can't even remember. It's been some time since I logged back into my account.
Yeah. Fair, but it's cool. Yeah, nostalgia, truly the most powerful force in the universe. All right. So that brings us to all of the questions that we had in the Discord, sent on Twitter, and so yeah, one final question I can see in chat from Zayop, which is, what was your favourite question in this Ask Me Anything?
Okay, so many options to choose.
And all of them awful.
Yeah. Not really sure.
Fair enough.
I can't really decide. Many were great, many were bad.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that brings us to the end of this. I just want to say from my end, well, yeah, basically a huge thanks, obviously, to Simon, but not just for taking part and sitting down with me and doing all of this after, honestly, way too much time when I just could not organise my schedule, and we had so many where we just really failed with getting this organised.
It was basically a timing issue.
Yeah, but
to find a date where we can sit down together.
And this has been going on for like months. But yeah, I just wanted to say a huge thanks not only for coming and talking, but for everything, for years of contributing to documentation, to writing servers, and yeah, just everything. A huge thanks, and I'm sure that goes from many other people in this community as well. Thank you.
I have to thank you all.
And yeah, I mean, with that said, we could. There is also the option of quickly answering people's questions as to whether or not you will play DLU if you want to hop in quickly and to run through Venture Explorer, maybe.
I mean, we could do that.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the end to the video that was planned. Thank you all so much for turning up. Yeah. The rest of this is just going to be us mucking around, I think. If yeah, fair. Yeah, if you're expecting
any new character.
Yeah, same. If you're expecting any content past this point, people, like, you think I have I had any coherent thoughts beforehand? Oh, there's been a request for a Connect 4 duel. After a previous stream that got completely derailed.
I hope I can remember my username. Got it.
Nice.
Oh, what? What?
Have you got?
I still have my character. I still have my char. Didn't reset.
Oh, interesting.
God, when was the last time I played Lego Universe? I think it was even with you. You were streaming and I was just like joining in.
Oh yeah, it might have been. That's a while back.
I think that was even before properties were a thing.
Yeah, are you creating a new character, or do you want me to hop in and find you in some world or another?
I'm currently standing on Limbo Station.
Limbo Station, okay, time for me to guess a character and see whether or not I'm anywhere nearby. Gonna go this one, maybe I'm lucky. Old Forest, that's pretty close. I can see you there shortly.
Okay, I can come to Gnald Forest if you want.
I'm just at a launch pad, so I can just hop. I'm just hopping into Nibble Station now, so that's all good. But yes, I mean,
Oh yeah, those transitions that when you come from one world to where you join into that other one, like the actual spawn position.
Yep.
It's like literally hard coded into the client for every world.
When you say the transitions, do you mean like the movies, that animation that plays?
No,
Or
the spawn location.
oh, the actual location.
Your spawn location in the world is decided by from which world you actually come from.
Interesting. Hello, I think I
So,
see you.
So like if you come from Gnald Forest, you spawn at the launch pad from Gnald Forest instead of from the one from Avant Gardens, just the default one.
Hello.
And those are completely in the client.
That's interesting. It's interesting, especially given I know DLU, you do get spawned into some weird ones some of the time. Like it spawns from where you last left. So I wonder if they've got something overriding that somehow. Yeah, cool. I mean, I hope this answers that question as to whether or not Simon.
Oh, I'm actually at that mission that was bugged in OpCrux's for a long time.
Oh, what's
and
this one?
Still is. Yeah, it's someone. This it was this bug came from fixing another one.
Such as the way we
solved the bug and then created another one.
Oh no! What was it?
I think it's been a long time. I can't really remember.
Ah, no worries.
But I think fixed something from a prior mission. It even was with like those interactions with the minifigure. Like
just this one.
Even building the system when you interact with the minifigure that you go into like those different stages.
Yeah.
It's just insane, and even like the mission system.
Yeah, I do remember seeing some stuff. I think it was on Uchu, some discussion about just even all of the work that went into getting, just those minifigures that have like simultaneously both missions, and like and could sell you stuff at the same time. Like all the work that went into that. It's very cool.
Completely forgot how early in the game you're supposed to build a modular car.
Oh yeah, come on. Yeah, if there's something good to round off this stream with, it's seeing your work on racing getting translated over to DLU, and let's see if we can finish off with that.
If I remember correctly, currently on OpCrux's, I even have a car. I already have one.
Nice. This is someone's
Can
preparing
I just
in
like
advance.
drop it there and finish the mission?
And here we have Zayop. Actually, let's.
Yeah, apparently that worked. Okay, now I have to do a race.
I'm hopped in if you are. Oh wait, let's. Oh no, I was too fast for Zayop. Zayop, quickly get. Oh no.
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 I'm teleporting.
Yeah, sorry, Zayop. I didn't realize until after I clicked there.
Is this a bug or something? Or because I think I'm alone in the racetrack. Am I?
I think I'm just not loaded in yet.
I have loading players at the moment.
Yeah, it says loading players for me. That's normally
what okay, it's waiting. Hold on. Oh, we actually okay.
Yeah, it just takes a little while. And there was a message from Vincent, which was telling me to check the change log, and that some of the stuff involving loading into incorrect zones, that has in fact been fixed, or into correct places.
Hold on, can I go backwards? Is that faster?
I did that as well.
Wasn't there a key to look backwards?
There's
Oh,
no... There was a key to look backwards according to LWO.xml. I've never had it work. But...
Oh man. I can barely understand you since the game is actually louder than you.
Oh.
But in Lego Universe, you can't go into the settings unless you're like actually in game.
Wow, okay, I'm going forwards. I am not good enough. I tried one backward race once and I should have left it at that.
Turn down the audio from Windows Manager.
I know, I'm just catching back up.
Every time you like switch your workstation and you're getting blasted with the with the login music.
Yeah, I also muck up.
Driving is so weird in this game.
Yeah, it really is. It took me ages to get used to it. Go on.
The car I used to test with was a bit more flexible.
Oh, interesting. Do cars actually change stats at all?
Yeah, this one I'm driving right now is not that easy on turning.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realise that actually had an effect. Fun.
Come on, DLU, why have you implemented those? Didn't have those in testing. So I didn't expect those. Just completely forgot about them.
Yeah, this is the upside to for me for Simon being a developer, which means he spent far more time developing this than he is playing on it.
Exactly.
It's.
I think in total I drove around like 5 minutes in total.
Yeah, I don't want to admit the amount of time I may have spent playing this. And you're still beating me, so...
Yeah, but to be honest, I played a ton of Forza Horizon like 2 days ago. Oh, let's make a mod for LEU to support the actual steering wheels.
Yes, that's what we need.
I mean, honestly, for me it would be a breeze to just hook up the input 8.
That would be so cool to see LU racing being played on a. Wow, wait a second. Had I actually not done racing on this account? I must have done. Anyway.
So I'm getting so many achievements.
Yeah, it is. You've just got to sit down. You just got to let the achievements wash over you. I also really have.
Chat asks if I'm German. Yes, I actually am German.
He's just really dedicated to pretending.
Usually I'm really dedicated to pretending I'm not, like, to disguise my accent. Because
he's actually he lives next door to me. This is just all a fake accent. He's done it this whole time. He learnt German for this live stream just to protect his identity. Like, that's dedication. Sorry, go on.
Absolutely, I would get Ravenous if I didn't. Just kidding. Yeah. Ravenous, a word I've learned this year.
Yeah. Ravenous is a good word. I like it.
Or about that thing with meter and metre. Apparently you can use both. Had a discussion at work.
Oh, is my year 8 German gonna come in handy? And I think what that message in chat said is, Simon, can I also play? I think.
No, he said, good evening, how are you?
Oh no, the one beneath that.
I know that. was like joking around.
I've been pranked hard. Oh, we've also got a, I'm gonna guess.
But yeah, basically he said if he can play it well as well.
Okay.
You just need to get a key, and I'm not in a position where I actually am able to give out. Like, even technically, I'm not able to give you a key.
That moment when there's just the Mithran tag, I'm assuming that's Darwin, but don't know.
Seriously? You need to do racing.
Come on.
Where you collect those imagination points during racing. And now I get the mission to collect 9 of them.
Yeah. I get over it. How long does it take to buy Imaginate? I don't... Okay, here we are. 4-player race.
Yeah, apparently some people want to race. Should we go?
Let's go for it.
Yeah, it's Max the Third.
Classic.
You guys forgot to disguise the name in the in like the play area.
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Paco. I have no idea what that one said. I know you're asking me if I can do something, but... Or probably asking Simon. But I have no idea.
Oh, he's basically trying to get one through money.
They're not... No, basically, sorry. And yeah.
We actually had a bit of history. There were actually a few people who tried to like throw money at us, or probably. Oh man! Why did they put the brakes on shift?
Yep.
Why? It was like pressing shift and constantly ramming into a wall.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get used to the LU.
Yeah, there were people who like tried to give us money or tried to scam like with money, but in the end, this just will not work out of many reasons.
Yeah, I do. There was someone recently, who was doing some sort of scam and was claiming to have spent $10,000 on a key. Honestly, I was offended I hadn't been offered the $10,000 because I think my key is, yeah, I'll happily $10,000. That's a good amount of money for a key. I'll happily ditch the Ninja Value persona for that much. But
also, don't forget keys aren't transferable.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Yeah. Jokes aside, there was someone who came onto DOU, or not even onto DOU actually, but just in the CLU community recently tried buying a key, and yeah, the answer basically is no. DOU doesn't allow key transfers or anything like that, so sorry. But closed beta coming sometime this year, being held up by legal work. God, I've said that. Like, I feel that's just, those are words I now just say instinctively. But yeah, so sometimes...
So far behind.
Don't worry. Such is life on these things. That is the one thing with LU racing. It is not particularly well balanced. If you can get out ahead right at the start, then like you just eat up all the best power-ups, and there's nothing anyone else can do, really.
Luckily, I'm not streaming. I'm so bad at this right now.
Ah, such is life. How you was the game of your childhood, Sheradox? Yeah, I thought. Well, I'm assuming for quite a few of us. Yeah, it's yeah. It was like, I think for so many people it was like their first game. It was just so cool. Oh, come on, you weren't that. I've been far, far further behind on lots of matches. Can I make a playthrough with Paradox? You're asking, Sheradox? I actually have. Check out my videos playing through of the devs. Because I am, well, when I say with the devs, I mean with Mick, Vincent, and Darwin, because I'm playing Paradox in that. Yeah, nice. Anyway, I think from my end, I need to go. But this has been genuinely great fun to do with you, Simon. And I'm glad we finally got to have this going. And yeah, I hope everyone, yeah, you got a chance to, I don't know, get to know what Simon was doing with his spare time now he's left OU, and that it was building a big board of LEDs, and programming them for parties. Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Simon, so much for turning up and for everything you've done for the community. I've been Ninjavel, there have been other people like Sayop and Darwin, and this has been done on TOU, and I'll see you around.